If I try and buy a policy for my parents and I ask them, do you have any pre-existing conditions? Are there any medical condition? They'll say nothing. If you go and see their medication, they're taking 4 medication at night. Only after 6 months of the policy being issued will be tagged as an early claim. And early claim में क्या होता है? Basically the insurance companies alarm bells are ringing.
कुछ तो लोचा होगा.
कुछ तो है.
Are agents incentivized to do wrong things? Why are they so aggressive in selling?
Every agent has a sales target. Their manager will give them a sales target. The manager has his target based on the senior manager's assessment. Senior manager has his target.
Everyone has a boss.
Everyone has a boss. The thing about Nitin is that he just thought our stories were actually very good stories from a customer point of view. So he didn't care about anything else.
Suppose there's person A, there's person B.
Yes.
Person A gets a term insurance when they're 25 years old.
All right.
Do patients think that the doctors and insurance companies are like working together?
Revant, you've hit the nail on the head. This is one of our biggest issues.
India needs to learn not only about health, we also need to learn about health insurance. Someone in the insurance form, they wrote they don't have alcohol, and then they uploaded a photo on Instagram or something of them at a party, and they had a glass of beer in their hand. 2 years later, they pass away. Can the insurance company go to their Instagram photo and be like, look, he had a glass of alcohol?
100% yes. If you are a smoker, straight 50% premium. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very good incentive to not smoke.
Most people view insurance in a very negative way.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is before we begin, I want to thank Zerodha's Media Network 01 for supporting this show, and without them, none of this would have been possible. So today we have with us Shrehith, who's the co-founder of Ditto. Thank you so much, Shrehith, for joining.
Thank you, Revant.
And we are going to rethink insurance. We're going to structure this episode in 2 ways. We're going to start with health insurance, and then we're going to move on to life insurance. Within health insurance, we're going to focus on the pre-application process, application process, and the claims. And then we're going to learn about life insurance, the eligibility and claims. This is how we'll broadly structure the episode.
Yeah.
I feel most health companies make money when you fall sick.
Yeah.
However, I feel insurance is the only industry which is losing money when you fall sick.
Yeah.
So essentially, the insurance industry has your best interest in mind. They don't want you to fall sick.
Correct.
But at the same time, unfortunately, if you ask the public, what do you think of health insurance? They'll mostly say it's a scam. They have a very negative image about health insurance. But still, why do people have such a negative experience with health insurance?
Yeah, Revant, it's the correct assessment also by the public, in that if you ask me as a layperson how I think about health and life insurance, forget about me working at Ditto, I would probably have the same experience as well. Insurance is terribly complicated. It's a problem that's endemic to almost most of India, because insurance ultimately is a 30, 35, 40 page contract. And what tends to happen is the people that sell you the insurance policy don't understand the contract. The people that end up buying the policy don't understand the contract because they've not read the policy document in full. This can happen oftentimes.
So I know that just the way Pharmer is rebelling against the packaged food industry, Ditto is sort of rebelling against the insurance industry. But just for the benefit of the audience, those who don't know Ditto, can you just summarize what Ditto does?
Yeah. So you're right in that oftentimes we are rebelling, we are fighting with the insurance companies. Our fight is probably slightly different from the way your fight is structured, in that some of these companies are also our partners, right? So we have to work with them because ultimately they manufacture insurance. But you're absolutely right. Our objective is to make sure that we work with the insurance companies to make sure that the customers have the experience that they believed that they should have when they buy an insurance for, let's say, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 rupees of premiums annually, and it's a recurring premium. So Ditto tries to bridge this gap.
Got it. Would I be right to summarize you all as insurance educators?
Yeah, I mean, insurance educators, insurance advisors, any of those names actually help. Because we do a lot of work in trying to help people understand what they're buying and also help them, as I previously said, when things go south, right? When you have to make a claim, etc. Yeah.
what are things which people need to keep in mind when they are filling in a health insurance form?
The first thing is the medical questionnaire, because the other things you can't go wrong. Oftentimes what happens is like your Aadhaar, PAN, etc. All of that is fine. Even the product that you pick, I would argue that is less important than the medical questionnaire, right? Because once you come to the medical questionnaire, ultimately everything changes. And the way it changes is very simple. I can probably demonstrate it right in front of you. I ask you a simple question. Have you had a fracture? Okay. Now the answer to that could be, yeah, I've had it maybe like 25 years ago. I had a small fracture or whatever. Okay. Then a good advisor, what they should do is probe further. They should say, okay, during this fracture, were you hospitalized? Even briefly? Was there surgery involved? Did you have implants? Do you have implants? If you have implants, that is material information for the insurance company. The insurance company, imagine 6 years later, you have a heart-related claim. The insurance company can still come and tell you that you did not disclose this. And I found it out.
So Shrehith, I have a question. There are suppose two people.
Yeah.
Person A and person B.
Okay.
Suppose person A has had a health insurance from the age of 25.
Yes.
And he's been paying the health insurance claims at the age of 25, 26, 27. And now he's 35.
Yeah.
And now he gets some health-related issue.
Yeah.
And he gets a claim.
Yes.
And there's another guy who, both of them are 35.
Okay.
This person never had any health insurance.
Okay.
And directly at the age of 35,
Okay.
he got a health insurance.
Okay.
And then 6 months later,
Okay.
He had some health issue.
Okay.
So, is there any extra benefit that this A guy gets over a B guy? The A guy paid health insurance premiums for 10 years.
Okay.
And then got a health issue. And this guy never paid anything. He directly got it coincidentally at the age of 35.
Got it.
And then he got a health issue.
So in the case of B, there is strong early indication to suggest that this individual may be attempting to defraud the insurance company, even if he is not defrauding the insurance company. So his claim, because he bought the policy at 35, and only after 6 months of the policy being issued, will be tagged as an early claim. And early claim में क्या होता है? Basically, the insurance companies alarm bells are ringing. They're saying 6 months के
कुछ तो लोचा होगा.
कुछ तो है. कुछ तो है यहाँ पे. और उसके साथ, obviously, it is not to say that they'll deny the claim simply based on this assessment, but the investigation will be heavier. If you apply for a cashless claim after 6 months, unless it's an accident or a short case where they know that there is no fraud possible, they will probably tell you wait for reimbursement. Right? So if you're thinking of buying early just to make sure that you go finish a moratorium period, that could be great justification to simply say that I should probably buy early. Yeah, because it helps. It genuinely helps.
Buy insurance early.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you're 35, 40, 45.
Yeah.
Get it as early as possible.
Yeah.
Are agents incentivized to do wrong things? Why are they so aggressive in selling?
The way the industry is structured is every agent has a sales target. Now, once you have a
Who's
sales
giving
target,
them the sales target? The company?
The company will give a sales target, right? Or their manager will give them a sales target. The manager has his target based on the senior manager's assessment. Senior manager has his target. Goes on and on. The insurance company has a target to hit their quarterly figures, right? Because they're a publicly listed company or they have their own investors.
Everyone has a boss.
Everyone has a boss. Now, one of the good things that happened to us early on is that our boss didn't care about our numbers, which is Nitin Kamath of Zerodha. So when he invested in us, he said, look, I don't care. Which meant that we could do away with targets altogether. So when we hired our advisors, so our advisors right now internally in the company have no targets. So they operate without targets. And this is a very fundamental piece of insurance, because if you don't remove the targets, you can't remove spam. People will tell you right now, once we started this no spam policy, we say we'll never spam you, and we don't. Right? If you say, look, I don't want to buy a policy, you'll never hear from us again. Right?
Wow.
So what we've said is, look, I don't care if I don't make money this year, next year. I will make money in 10 years because people are going to trust the brand that is Ditto. It's the same thing that you're doing. You don't care about whether you're going to make money this year, but you're saying that 10 years from now, people should look at Food Pharmer and say that, look, if I'm buying a product, I know that I'm buying a product with some degree of trust.
100%.
Right?
Just talking about Food Pharmer for a minute is like, I have said no to crores and crores of brand deals.
Yeah.
I don't do food brand deals. My name is Food Pharmer. 95% of the deals I get are food oriented.
Of course.
And I say no to all food deals. And that of course costs a lot of money, but I have a much longer term view, 10-20 year view is that The trust I have, I just want to make sure nothing happens to that.
Precisely.
And that's, it's like, and I feel even from a monetary standpoint, if I keep doing good, I will probably make money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, people don't have to think of me as, oh, this do-gooder. No, I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
I want to make money. It's just that my thinking around making money is that I will probably make more money in the long run by doing this as opposed to doing all of these cheap things like, oh, I will oversell, I will missell, I will cross-sell, and I'll probably spam you on the 30th day because I want to meet targets.
I think now there's such a big lack of trust in India.
Yeah.
And the few companies in every space which stand for trust, they are really benefiting. For example, there's of course Zerodha in the finance space. I think the Ditto insurance in the insurance space. I think Minimalist is doing a good job in the skincare space. Hopefully, we are trying to start only what's needed, and we try to hopefully become that in the food space.
Correct.
But there's a lack of trust. If you stand for trust, I strongly believe that not only in a 10-year, even in a 5-year span, you'll start winning.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, one of the reasons why we've been able to make a mark in this segment is primarily because of 40% of all the leads that we generate come from referrals. If almost half of my new customers are coming from referrals, then it means that my CAC is zero on that.
What would you tell to a young guy watching this video? That, like for example, we hear of even like Rishabh Pant, who's in his 20s and had a massive accident and hopefully benefited from a health insurance. But what would you tell to a young person to motivate that person to get a health insurance?
What people should think about insurance, or how people should think about insurance is, look, if I fall sick tomorrow, if I have a bad case of dengue and I have to be hospitalized for 6 days and my hospital bill comes up to 1.2 lakhs, most urban working population somehow, right? I'm not saying it'll be easy, but they'll save, scrounge, and they'll be able to pay the bill. That is doable, right? But what people don't think of is what we call as black swan events, things that you don't see coming at all, right? Suddenly one day, you're all perfect and healthy. You go on a trek, you get a bad case of pneumonia. Now this pneumonia forces you to be hospitalized for 35 days. Hospital bill comes up to 12-13 lakhs. And you don't have 12-13 lakhs. Now, it can happen to a healthy person. It can happen to somebody who's aged 65, 70 with a lot of comorbidities. It can happen to anybody. But the point is, when these extremely bad things happen, which are very rare, by the way, which don't happen, do you have a fallback option? And that fallback option can be insurance, because insurance premiums for a 20, 25-year-old, even for a 10 lakh cover, is probably not going to exceed 15,000, even if it is a very comprehensive policy, right? So if you can afford 15,000, if you can save 15,000, I think it's a good price to pay for an outcome that you want to avoid, which is that pay 12 lakhs someday.
Makes sense.
So I think that's how people should think about insurance.
I think this is a very interesting point you said. Most people view insurance in a very negative way. They think insurance scam hai, insurance ye hai, wo hai. But what they don't realize is insurance is one of the ways to protect yourself from going into a very, very bad financial condition.
Correct.
I think I read somewhere that a health emergency is one of the common reasons why a lot of middle class fall into poverty.
Yeah.
And insurance can protect you from that.
Correct. Absolutely right. I'll give you a statistic from our internal data. 80% of the claims that come in go through without any intervention.
80% is happening without intervention. So it's not as bad of a thing as people make it out to be.
Correct. It's only in that 20% case when things do go wrong, and when we know that the customer has a legitimate point, that you need somebody in your corner. The only problem is people don't know if they'll be in the 80% or the 20%.
So people don't talk about the positive 80% of the cases. They talk about the 20% of the cases which are the negative cases potentially.
The unfortunate bit is that the 20% when things do go bad, it's obviously high value claims, lot of distress, etc. And they have a large impact on our cultural, on a society as a whole, right? On a psyche as a whole. Because you think about it, you brood about it. Even after 2 days, you're like, yaar, ek mein case pada tha, insurance mein aise hua tha karke. And it weighs on you, right? So you think insurance is a scam, and that's where some of this perception comes from as well.
And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people don't get health insurance even when they should get it.
Yes, absolutely, right? A lot of people come to us and say, how do I prevent a scam? How do I prevent a fraud? And we have to tell them, look, 80% of the time there will be no fraud, there will be no scam, nothing bad will happen to you. If you do these things, I can guarantee you that you will not have a hard time dealing with claims, right? That's what I can promise. And one of the things that you'll have to do is at least spend some time with a qualified advisor before making a decision. Now that doesn't have to be Ditto, and I'll be very honest and transparent. Right? If you believe that there's a better provider than Ditto, do it. But at least having somebody in your corner who you know you can trust to offer the right advice to help you with the application, who has the expertise to help you with the application, and who also has the weight to argue with the insurance company, go and buy from them. I have no qualms about it. I will pitch Ditto, obviously, but even if it is not Ditto, that is okay because that is the right thing to do.
So now we are going to move on to the next section. But before I do that, I have one thing to say to the people who are watching this video. So if you're watching this video, you're going to have access to Ditto's best insurance advisors. Usually they're waiting for about 1 to 2 days. But because you're watching this video, you can have same-day access to Ditto's best insurance advisors, and you can book a call for your parents, grandparents, or for yourself and just get some advice on health insurance or life insurance. This call will be completely free, so you can use the link in the description below. What are the top 3 things one should do when they are filling out an application to make sure they're doing it correctly?
So the first thing is you have to read the application properly. Most people click next, accept all terms, etc. because they want to just finish this process. Nobody wants to go through every question, read it with detail. And this becomes a huge problem. And I've seen it with a lot of our customers as well. When young people are buying policies for their parents. Like for instance, even my case, if I try and buy a policy for my parents, my mother, my dad, and I ask them, do you have any pre-existing conditions? Are there any medical condition? They'll say, nothing, I'm perfectly fine. If you go and see their medication, they're taking 4 medication at night. I'm like, for what if nothing is, if everything is all right? Because most elders think that, if I'm okay, if I feel okay, I'm okay. But that is not the definition for the insurance company. Insurance company is very clear. Are you taking medication? If you are taking medication, the question has to be yes. Even if you think that medication has no impact on you or no impact on your this thing. People will take diabetes medication and they say, faltu mein hai. They'll think that it is not useful. So the one important thing that you will have to do is if you're buying for your parents, make sure you speak to them. Ask them about past surgeries. Ask them about past hospitalizations. Even if they rub it, even if they shove it away, probe them, prod them, get everything in detail, and then make sure that you answer the medical questionnaire as accurately and as truthfully as possible. Because then the insurance company can't come back and say, look, I'm going to deny a claim. So be very honest and transparent in your medical questionnaire, and not just, people think they're honest. It's just that they're not taught, properly about this. So even for young people, 30, 35-year-old, even if you have something that you feel like could be material, disclose it. It's okay, let them come back. Let the insurance company ask you more questions, etc. Let them do their risk assessment.
Okay, so one point which I gathered is people should read the document carefully. They shouldn't just press next.
Yes.
They should answer in a very honest way. Don't hide any illnesses.
Yes.
So we spoke a lot about pre-application and application. I want to move on to the claims.
Yeah.
What do you think are the top 2 to 3 reasons why people's claims fail?
It's not that they fail. The claim gets approved, but you'll see that out of the 5 lakhs that I sought approval for, I'm only getting 4 lakhs. So 20% just vanishes. And this is not because of terms and conditions laid out very transparently in the policy. This is because of a clause that is in every insurance contract that not a lot of people know. It's called as the reasonable and customary clause. What that means is, if a doctor decides, let's say we recently had a case, again, I think I'll take a case and probably explain it better. So this person had a complete block in one of their arteries and they wanted to perform a bypass surgery, right? And the issue with performing the bypass surgery was that the doctor felt that this was too difficult to perform under the conditions and it involved a lot of risk. So they performed a highly advanced robotic surgery here called as MICS CABG karke, MICS CABG karke, which is very technical in nature, but it cost 2 times that of a conventional bypass surgery. So if a bypass surgery would cost 4 lakhs, this one is 8 lakhs, okay? Rough estimates, right? It cost 5 lakhs or something like that. But yeah, this one costs 9 to 10 lakhs. The insurance company, while approving the claim, approved the claim. They said this is a legitimate claim, I'll approve the claim, but they say that we don't think mix is reasonable in this case. The robotic intervention was reasonable in this case. I'm only going to accept the 5 lakhs, assuming that this is what it would have cost you if you had taken the conventional approach. So they approve 5 lakhs and they say 4 lakhs is not required.
Okay, so for one of the cases is not a failed claim, but a partial claim.
Partial claim. And this happens often, right? So they'll say that, look, you've been hospitalized for dengue. They'll say that, look, 3 days of treatments I'll pay. The rest 2 days, I won't pay because it's not reasonable. Doctor, faltu mein, they've kept you under observation, etc. There is no line of treatment, so I'm not going to pay the claim. So they'll say that the costs are not reasonable and there's no justification for it. So in such cases, what people should do is, they should remember that the doctor should write out a clear justification letter. So a lot of people, what they say is they submit whatever they have. The doctor is in a hurry. The doctor won't justify. And the claim gets rejected. And then you have to again go to the doctor, submit it again. And this time the insurance company will view it with suspicion. Because they're thinking, oh, now you've gotten this justification letter just because I've denied a claim. But if you get the justification letter in the first go itself, the doctor will have laid out clear guidelines. So here what you have to do is have some justification. Produce a justification letter and you can avoid something like this. And if you feel like the doctor is keeping you just for observation, etc., remember that the insurance company may not pay. So you can think for yourself also. You can say that, look, I feel all right. I don't think I should stay for another 2 days here. Maybe I should speak to the doctor. And sometimes the doctor agrees, then obviously you can decide to, discharge yourself, right?
So one was around the partial claim. Any other reasons why their claim essentially failed?
So there's a very famous case that we've sort of talked about often. The customer goes in for a procedure in the eye. The surgery is done. They apply for the claim. The claim gets rejected because the insurer says, look, there is a pre-existing condition that you've not disclosed. Customer says, no, I have no pre-existing condition. There's nothing. So we go to the insurer. Insurer says, no, there is something. And we're like, okay, can you tell us what it is? And usually they don't share it upfront, but in this case they say, actually there's something called as pigment glaucoma, right? Oh, so we go back to the customer and we say, this is what the insurer is saying. They're saying that you have pigment glaucoma and you've not disclosed this. Customer is like, this is news to me also. How come I don't know I have pigment glaucoma? This is the first time. So now we are confused. We're like, who to believe? So we go back to the insurance company and we're like, exactly, tell me where did you identify this, find this out? And they point to a report where a doctor's, the customer's doctor has written that PG for 2 years, right? And PG in the underwriter's world, in the insurer's world, is pigment glaucoma. The customer is shocked as well. The customer is like, how come I have not seen this? Customer goes back to the doctor. He's like, why did you write this? I don't have pigment glaucoma. Do I have pigment glaucoma? Doctor says, PG stands for prescription glasses, not pigment glaucoma. Now, because of this small misunderstanding, the claim was delayed for a month. So make sure if your doctor is writing a report or making something, it's as obvious and as transparent as possible, right? So I think that is something that people have to remember as well. And keep all these documents handy. So for instance, let's say you got a cataract procedure done. So usually they'll have let's say a new lens inserted, etc. You have to make sure that you preserve the lens sticker, the invoice, everything, right? Because otherwise the insurance company can say that the lens was not inserted only. That this procedure was not done only. Maybe they booked you, etc. But if it was done, where is the lens? Show me the invoice sticker, etc. So make sure you keep all these documents handy because this can come back to bite you as well. So these are roughly the things that people should remember because these can come back to bite you very badly.
So documents ko अच्छे से रखना. You have to keep the documents really well.
Yeah.
Do patients sometimes think that the doctors and insurance companies are working together together, or maybe even the opposite? Do insurance companies sometimes feel that doctors are just writing a prescription because the patient is...
Revant, you've hit the nail on the head. This is one of our biggest issues. Hospital, patient has, high fever, goes to the hospital, doctor admits him. Insurance company says ki hospitalization ki zarurat hi nahi thi. There was no reason for hospitalization only. Hospital is trying to make money. Now the hospital writes a big record now, the justification, saying that this is why I believe that the patient should have been hospitalized. Insurance company says no, we have clear guidelines on when hospitalization should be done and should not be done. This is a case of violation from the hospital. Now the problem is insurance companies ke paas there's a regulator. I can at least fight back. I can file a complaint on the Bima Bharosa portal. I can go to the ombudsman. I can do something. Now, who do I go in case the hospital? There's no regulator for the hospital. The hospital will feel that, look, it's my discretion. I am the treating doctor. I've made a subjective call. And they're in the right as well. They've made a subjective call. They have to make subjective calls because this is a matter of life and death. They can't wait for the insurance companies to give approval, no? And this becomes a big talking point, right? And so insurance companies are now saying, let's have a regulator for the doctors as well, for the hospitals as well, so they know when you need hospitalization, when you don't need hospitalization. This happens with dengue. Every time monsoon comes in, you see a bunch of dengue claims come. And towards the end of the dengue season, insurance companies start rejecting claims. They're basically like, हो गया अब हमने बहुत pay कर लिया, we don't want to pay anymore. अरे, you can't blame the customers that fall sick at the fag end of the monsoon, no? It can't be that case, no? I mean, that can't be the logic, no? So then what happens is we have to lay out guidelines. We tell customers beforehand, look, if your temperature is above 102, if your SpO2 level falls below this level, if your platelet count falls below this level, we'll have good justification. So if you're being hospitalized, make sure you keep an eye on these, right? No, you can't do much, right? Obviously, you're not going to say, I'm going to go back home. Doctors made a call, you have to be hospitalized, but make sure you keep the indoor case papers. So usually doctors record all these temperature changes, all the lines of treatment, etc. on indoor case papers. And sometimes hospitals will purge these papers. They'll keep records of it, but we've had one case where afterwards they don't have these records at all, right? And then it can become a problem because you can't prove that you needed treatment.
Makes sense. You mentioned Nitin Kamath and how he's an investor and he doesn't have any targets.
Yeah.
How does that work? First of all, how did you all get Nitin Kamath to invest in you?
Yeah.
How did that work? Because I have also some beautiful stories related to him, but I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, so I think our interaction with Nitin was very organic. In fact, we didn't reach out to him. He reached out to us.
Oh, wow.
We need about 4 crores. So no VC was willing to bank on us. And about 1.5 years of doing that, we were losing hope. And we get this email from somebody from Nitin's team, Karthik, who runs Varsity, by the way, their education initiative. It's like, Nitin's sort of really interested in meeting you guys. Would you be open, right? And we met Nitin. The thing about Nitin is that he didn't bet on us because we were making money or because we had a good product or because this was going to somehow be a sustainable business. None of that. He just thought our stories were actually very good stories from a customer point of view. So he didn't care about anything else. In fact, I remember the first conversation that we had, we said, look, we probably need about 2-3 crores to scale this team and write more content and do this, etc. And he said, okay, well, all right, we'll do that. And then he said, look, if it doesn't work out, I'll just write it off. Like, I've written it off already. Like, because for him, it was like, look, this 3 crores is, I think will do good for the community. Like, people read your content because it's good. And if they read more of it, if you write more of it, perhaps it will do more good. So that is why I'm going to fund you.
No, I think Nitin Kamath is one person who thinks extremely long term and he always thinks that what's the good for the people. So I say this one thing, I have never met Ratan Tata,
Okay.
but I have met Nitin Kamath. Around 1.5 years ago, I was at a fitness event organized by Fitter and we both were speaking. Nitin Kamath was speaking right after me, I think. And I had met him there for the first time. That time I was like, just a rebel going after food brands. Even I'm still doing that right now, but I currently have some sources of income. At that time, I had 0 sources of income. So Nitin Kamath just came to me and is like, I have been watching your videos. I really like them. And let me know if I can financially help you. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I was thinking he's investing in me like a VC. And so I asked him, okay. How much equity do you want? And he was like, I don't want equity. I just want to help you out. And I'm like, wow, this is a guy who I'll always respect.
And at first you're very distrustful. He's like, what?
I think kuch to scam
hai. But that's exactly how he operates.
So we spoke a lot about health insurance. I want to go quickly into life insurance. What are the top 3 things someone should know before getting a life insurance?
Never mix savings and insurance together because it's very easy to do with life, right? When you're buying life, you're thinking, hey, let me get some savings on top. It's very nice, let me get some extra money, a return for what I'm investing. And that's how people think. It's not investing. In fact, if anything, it's an expense You spend on something like a fire extinguisher, just in case if the fire, if there's ever a fire in your house, you have something to sort of, placate the fire with, right? I mean, that's what you're sort of, looking at. In my head, at least, it's very simple. If I'm buying a term insurance policy, what I'm trying to do is that if I'm 32 years old right now, between 32 and between the ages of 65, 70, when I would have actually retired and I would have, retirement corpus and whatnot, right? If anything happened to me in this period, my family should receive similar income as I would have provided them. And that is what a term insurance should do. So when somebody comes to Ditto, right? So what we do is we take them on an hour-long call and we explain to them what happens. We ask them how their expenses look like, how they'll increase over time, and then we try and sort of calculate a figure. It doesn't have to be super precise, but even if it is roughly sort of around the ballpark figure, where the term insurance payout, that 2 crores, 3 crores, tax-free sum that I receive, if I chuck it in a fixed deposit, the interest and the principal should cover for all my future expenses, my family's future expenses, right? And that's how you should think about term insurance, right? That's the first thing, right? And the second thing that people should think about is people think that term insurance is just like going and buying a product off of Amazon. It's not, right? You're talking about payouts of 3 crores, 4 crores, 5 crores, right? And when somebody is dealing with crores, there'll be due diligence. So what tends to happen is you'll have to go through a comprehensive medical test, right? What that means is they'll look at your lipid profile, your cholesterol, your, blood sugar levels, if there's diabetes, hypertension, all of these. And if you don't fit that eligibility criteria, 4 times out of 10 times, they'll say, pay something extra. But 3 or 4 times, they'll also come and tell, we'll not insure you only because you're too high risk. I have a cousin who recently applied for a term insurance plan. You will not believe this. But his problem was that he was underweight.
Oh.
Yeah. So he according to his age, so he's 22, 23, he's a very skinny guy, lanky guy like me. And his weight added up to 45 kgs, which is, in their marker, it was underweight. And they were like, we're not going to issue your policy. He wanted a 1.5 crore policy and they were not going to issue him a policy. And then he had to beef up his weight, right, to actually try again and then get a policy issued.
You should have told your cousin to speak to me. I have a whole list of products.
Oh, is it?
Which I can send to him, which will increase weight.
Wait, yeah.
All the food company that I make a video on,
yeah.
all of them I could send a list.
Yeah, probably. Right?
I have another question. I asked you something similar for health as well.
Yeah.
So suppose there's person A, there's person B,
Yeah.
and I'm going to add a person C as well.
Yes.
Person A gets a term insurance when they're 25 years old.
All right.
Person B gets their term insurance when they're 35, and person C gets it at 45.
Got it.
What is the main difference between these 3 people in terms of term insurance?
Got it. For person A, the premiums are extremely affordable. Even a 1 crore cover could come at a cost of 10,000, 15,000, let's say something of that.
Per month?
No, per year.
Per year?
Yeah, 1 crore cover, right? It's a large sum of money. Yeah, per year. For 35, that number you could push to, let's say, I don't know, if he has, by like I said, at 35, you have some lifestyle conditions, lipid profiles is usually off kilter. You're probably talking about, let's say, I don't know, maybe 25, 30,000, right? At 45, you may not even get a term policy. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be very, very expensive at 45, and you may not even get a term policy.
Wow, even at 45, which I don't think is so old.
So I mean, you'll get a policy. I'm sort of maybe over exaggerating a bit, but it's likely that one of your markers is probably off. Like if you ask how many 45-year-olds we've insured, not a lot. Like I could probably say less than 100. And one thing that I've probably completely forgotten is if you are a smoker, straight 50% premium, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very good incentive to not smoke. And every time I have this conversation, I tell people, if there's like a financial incentive, I know there's generally not a financial incentive, but if I can ever convince you if there's a financial incentive, add the term insurance thing to your list as well, because it's going to cost you a lot of money, right?
Does the insurance company find out that you're a smoker?
Yeah. So some people try and game this. So they'll say, look, I'm going to stop smoking for a week and then I'm going to apply a policy. But they'll sometimes do cotinine tests that detect, smokers. If you've smoked for, let's say on a 3-month window, you can still find out. And mostly we tell people not to lie, because if they ever find out, and they usually can find out, you should never bet against the insurance company. You know, the way they say with casinos, you should never bet against the house. Never bet against the insurance company to not find out something. They will find out something. It would be foolhardy to think that somebody is in the business for 40, 50 years and they can't find out that, okay, maybe smoking is a different example, but with other issues as well. They will find out. They have so many ways in which they can find out. So generally, it's not advisable to lie.
What about other forms of intoxication like alcohol?
Yeah. So moderate amounts of alcohol will not trigger massive issues, funnily enough. But if you are, they'll ask you how many ml, how much ml, like very specific, you actually drink a week. And basis that, they can then decide whether they want to issue a policy or not. Because yeah, I mean, alcoholism has a huge impact on sort of, your overall state of health. So moderate amounts of alcohol, not a lot, but yes, I mean, if
I'm currently going to make up a scenario.
That's actually
someone in the insurance form, they wrote they don't have alcohol.
Yeah.
And then they uploaded a photo on Instagram or something of them at a party, and they had a glass of beer in their hand. And then for whatever reason, 2 years later, they pass away. Can the insurance company go to their Instagram photo and be like, look, he had a glass of alcohol?
100% yes.
Wow. Really? They can look at your...
100%. There's no doubt about it. They'll do that. In fact, I would bet that if they have to pay a claim of 1.5 crores, 2 crores, whatever the sum is, they're going to spend at least a good, 5 lakhs, they can afford to spend that kind of money if they have to really investigate the claim, and they do it. There's no doubt about it at all. Yeah.
So an Instagram post can cost you 2 crores essentially.
Yeah, that can happen. And they don't even have to have this kind of proof. They can simply suspect it and they can deny a claim. Usually they don't do it with term. They'll pay out, it's 99% guaranteed payout, right? Even if there is fraud. But what if you're at 1%? That is the one thing that always sort of, is in the back of your head. Like, okay,
So-
something, yeah.
So in health insurance, you said that about 80% of claims do get accepted without any problems. Out here, you're saying 99%.
Yes.
So what are those 1% reasons why they don't get accepted?
You can't dispute death, unlike a hospitalization, Like I could say dengue was, like you were hospitalized for no reason. Can't do that with death. Like, if a person's died, he's died, The only times when it can get problematic is when, say, for example, let's say it was a drunken drive incident, right? You pass away because of an accident, they found alcohol in your system, so that's reckless driving, right?
Okay.
So these kind of things can also have an impact on, say, how insurance companies process your claim. But after 3 years, it's like almost dead sure that your claim will go through, right? The only other case where I can think of where the claim does not go through is when you deliberately withheld some material information about your health. Let's say you've had cancer, you've not disclosed it, and then 1 year after buying a term insurance policy, you pass away from cancer. Insurance company finds out that you've had cancer, they have grounds to repudiate a claim. So unless in obvious, absolutely apparent cases, like where there is fraud, you don't get a claim rejected. Which is why all the focus is on eligibility, application, and that sort, yeah?
So one last thing I want to say, that I keep talking about why India, as Indians, we are obsessed with education, but we are not health literate.
Yeah.
We don't know the basics about calories, nutrition, and artificial sweeteners, and various other things.
Yeah.
So that's one very key thing which I've learned from you, is that India needs to learn not only about health, we also need to learn about health insurance, which is what you all are doing. I am trying to focus on the health side, you all are focused on the health insurance. I myself feel like I am health insurance illiterate. I think through this conversation, I think I became more literate. I still have a lot to learn. But if I was getting a health insurance, I could see why I could benefit from someone who has much more expertise. And someone who would be in my side fighting.
Correct.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for coming here today and enlightening me, educating me. And I truly feel like I became a bit more health insurance literate.
It was a pleasure talking to you as well.
Thank you.